Firetek Bow from Zing Toys. Included is the bow and 3 arrows. If you remember my Z-Curve bow review from a while back, this is a very similar product and it operates in the same way, except this one has a little button here which turns on LEDs which lights up the front of the bow. Very, very cool. And because this isn't a look-alike firearm, it follows different legal standards, so you don't have to throw orange all over it. You can make it look really cool with black and green or black and red. They also offer a black and pink, but they didn't send me one of those for whatever reason. I think black and pink would look way cooler, but black and green looks pretty cool, especially with the green arrows. These arrows are proprietary. You can't really build your own because of this hooking mechanism, which I'll go over in a second. But the front is all foam, so it compresses a whole lot, so if you hit somebody in the head, it's not going to poke a hole through them. It's still going to hurt since these are heavy and this thing fires insanely hard, but it's still pretty safe. This little orange piece in the head actually allows the arrow to whistle very, very loud, and it's very intimidating when you're getting shot at. It costs almost nothing for companies to do that for arrows like this, and it makes it way cooler, so I'm glad that they did it that way. These arrows also illuminate if you turn that little switch on, so it turns red like that. The foam quality in the back is of average quality. The adhesion isn't the best, and I'm worried that after a little bit of use, it's going to weaken, and once your fins fall off, it's not going to go wherever you're aiming, which really hinders accuracy, so it's kind of a big bummer. But with this type of item, this is as best as you can do. It's just sort of a design problem as opposed to a manufacturing problem. The grip back here is plastic. In the past, I believe they were foam covered in the Z-Curve bow, which made it very easy to grip. I'm actually slipping a little bit, and I'm not even sweating. My hands are just always sort of a little bit moist. That's kind of gross, but especially if you're nerfing, especially when you're outside and you're getting hot and you're sweating, it's going to be much harder to grip this. And that lack of grip is going to transfer into how far back you can pull this, which directly relates to how hard you can shoot them. If it's gripping, it's going to slip before you can actually pull it back to here and get good power out of it. Operation, these 2 loops are where the arrow feeds in. It goes like that, then you pull it back and you let go. You probably shouldn't use these inside, by the way. These are really heavy and they shoot really fast. Outdoor shooting test of the Firetek Bow. Now I have moisture, so my grip is not going to be as good since I'm landing in puddles since it just rained. Oh, don't hit my car, please. They just soar. Oh, so this probably will not work, but it should look funny. This is so weird to grip. That actually sort of worked. Range is only about 60%, but it was still pretty funny to shotgun arrows. 93. 98. 96. Duplicate 96. 92 feet per second. Surprisingly consistent. So as you can see, they shoot insanely hard, very fast, and they just shoot ridiculous. Their ranges are incredible, their velocities are incredible. Everything about this propulsion mech is incredible. It shoots insanely hard. With practice, you can hit targets beyond 100 feet, no problem. However, because it's a bow compared to a gun or a blaster, it does take a whole lot more practice to get good with it, because anybody can pick up a retaliator, point the barrel, pull the trigger, and hit somebody. It takes a little bit more practice to get used to a bow in order to hit somebody at its max effective range. To my opinion, the operation is wonderful. I have no complaints about that. However, the bungees in the past have snapped for me, and these are sort of expensive products for what they are. It's just a rubber band around a piece of plastic. It doesn't have like super complicated internals that you can't make yourself like a Nerf gun. You can sort of make one of these yourself at home if you wanted. And the bungees have snapped on me on 2 or 3 of my bows in the past because I pushed them a little harder than maybe their average consumer. But that is something to look out for. Probably don't pull it back as far as you can every time if you want it to last as long as possible. And the arrows aren't my favorite just because this proprietary system, you can't home make your own ammo, and these things are really expensive right now. All of this stuff is really expensive, so it's hard to say go buy a bow and then buy a few extra darts. Like with a Nerf gun, you can buy a 100-pack and be good for a game or multiple games. If you play outside, which again you can't really play with these inside because you're going to break lamps, break picture frames, everything. You can break a window with this if you shoot it hard enough. So you're forced to play outside, and then your recovery rate goes to crap, and you're going to lose a bunch of these things, and they're really expensive. So it's kind of a bummer. Puts yourself in a pretty difficult position financially in order to fully use these in a game. You'd have to have like 20 or 30 of these in a pouch in order to play competitive Nerf or HVZ with one of these bows. However, if those things are not your concern, this blaster's tons of fun to use, or bow, not blaster, tons and tons of fun to use. The performance is phenomenal. It can't be matched by any Nerf product. The projectile aerodynamics of a Elite are just simply limited. You can't propel those fast enough to even come close to these things. These shoot insanely hard. So hopefully the range test and the video footage speaks for itself. That's pretty much all I needed to see to know I wanted one of these. So very cool product from Zing Toys. Product link in the description box if you'd like to buy one yourself. I'm Coop, thanks for watching. You probably shouldn't use these inside, by the way. I took out the electronic and mechanical locks, re-lubricated everything, and actually called it a day. That's really all you have to do to most flywheel blasters to make them perform very well, with the exception of adding trust wire batteries.